What's up, y'all? Sparty here. So for this video, what I want to do is compare the S20 FE and the LG V60 in terms of video quality outside. And I'm going to be doing this mainly because I want to show the capabilities of this S20 FE compared to the V60 here. Now, there are a couple things that I do indeed want to detail. In auto video mode, you don't get any sort of like controls when it comes to, say, focusing, like manual focus or anything like that. Whereas on the V60, which I can show you guys here, you also really don't get that. And now the S20 wants to lock focus when I don't want it to do that. You don't get it either. But in photos, you do indeed get that. And the main reason I want to do this is I want to detail, the key differences, which one does better and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. But I guess I just want to talk about, first, the in-hand feel. Obviously, the S20 FE is going to be better in terms of in-hand feel because it's a smaller phone. The V60 takes up a bigger footprint because it's a big phone and it has a bigger battery. And overall, I feel this is nice. It's not the best. Aiming it directly at the sun, you can't necessarily do anything when it comes to, say, lowering the exposure so you can get that definition on the Note S20 FE. But overall, I think it's fine. It's totally serviceable. What you can't do is you can't zoom out, but you can zoom in no problem to 10x. So that looks really nice. From what I can see from the viewfinder itself, it looks a bit like grayish, like not gray, but a little bit washed out. It's not terrible, but to me, I feel it could do a little bit better when it comes to that. You do have video stabilization, and I will show you guys this when I go to the manual mode. It's not nearly as stable as it is in the pro video mode on the S20 FE compared to it being in auto mode. So that's something that's really weird, but it's something that I've noticed while using this phone. So I'm gonna go over to the V60 here so I can show you guys what that's like. Okay, so here's the V60, and as you guys can see, it does a better job overall at like catching the sun, and you could actually lower the exposure and have it look a little bit better. It doesn't just look like a giant orb of light, which I know basically that's what the sun is, but that's just what I wanted to detail there. On the V60, you can zoom out, and this is 1080p 60 like I said, and you can still get a good amount of the sun without it just looking like just brightness and that's it. You could actually detail what it is. You can 10x zoom as well, whereas on the S20 FE, all you can really do is zoom in, which is fine. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. But in terms of like the video capabilities when it comes to like the auto mode here, I think the V60 definitely looks cleaner. The colors look richer, more defined, like the greens and like the trees and stuff like that look really quality. It doesn't really, and like I said, there's no HDR10 plus on, so that's really nice. In terms of stabilization, it does indeed feel more stable too. I don't necessarily feel like it's wobbly or anything like that. You get the same amount of stabilization that you get in the auto mode that you get in the video mode, so that's really nice as well. So that's quality. It's cool. On both, you can indeed switch to the front-facing camera while you're recording, so that's really nice. You get it on both. The S20 FE has a wider front-facing camera and it's a higher megapixel count, but to me, I don't use it, so it's whatever to me personally. So yeah, I guess I'll just go over to manual mode now, and I'll start it with the S20. Okay, so what I do indeed see now is this looks a little bit more, and of course wind wants to come in. This looks a little bit more like it does on the V60 in manual mode. It doesn't look nearly as like I said, the greens in that tree in particular don't look nearly as defined, but it doesn't look nearly as punchy, but it's good enough. You go here and you actually get a good orb right there, and you could actually do this so you can get even more definition out of it. I guess you can't, but let me yeah, it's fine overall though. You can do pretty much everything you could do in the manual video mode on the V60 you can indeed do on here as well. You can adjust white balance on the fly, you can adjust focus. What I don't like on the S20 FE, and this is something I also didn't like on the Note 10, is that where you tap on the autofocus is where it will start, is where it'll like just go to focus or unfocus. Whereas on the V60 you slide it, and that's how you adjust it. You can slide it on the S20 here and it does it fine, but the problem is sometimes I mistap and it'll go unfocused. I don't like that. I wish Samsung didn't do it like that, but whatever. It's fine. You also get the ability on the S20 to adjust the mic decibels and stuff like that to gain. This is something that the V60 does have as well. And you also, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you the option to switch between the different mics, say a USB mic or a Bluetooth mic. But on, say, like the LG Wing, you can. So it is indeed on their phones now, but you know, the V60 is an older phone, so it's not there right now. It most likely come in the future. LG has been pretty good at giving features to their older phones that are on their newer phones, so I don't really see why they couldn't do that. But yeah, overall though, I think this picture is quality. But just like the regular video mode, you can't zoom out to the wide angle, which sucks for those people that want it. To me personally, I don't care. But yeah, overall I think it's fine. But let me raise this up a little bit. And yeah, overall this is a pretty good manual mode. I don't like how certain things are laid out, but overall it's perfectly capable, and this phone is plenty powerful to utilize it, and it's fine. It's good. So let me go to the V60 here. Okay, so here's the V60 again, 1080p, 60 frames per second. I could turn a wind noise filter on here, whereas I don't see that option on the S20 FE. You can't zoom out, but you can zoom in, which to be fair is fine. If you want to go to the wide angle, all you have to do is just record in wide angle, and then you'll just have to stitch that video together separately, which sucks, but you know, it's whatever. At least in auto mode you can do it. But yeah, in terms of like the more pleasing picture, I feel the V60 does better at keeping the scene brighter and keeping it look bright but not looking very like washed out, right? And look at how well it handles the sun here. It looks very nice. And then I could do it, it just looks quality. What I don't like on the manual mode on the S20 FE, and what I didn't like on the Note 10, is that you don't have a way while you're adjusting settings to just go back to auto. So right under like the slider here on the V60, there's an auto. I could just click it and it'll go to auto. That's something that you don't have on the Note 20. I keep saying Note, S20 FE, but overall it's fine. You do have an overall just auto adjust all the settings like on the fly right there. You got to slide down on like all the settings, and it's right there. It says reset. You click it and all the settings will go back. But I personally feel that the V60 definitely does better. I feel they both do they both have really good mics. When I first used the FE, I was like, whoa, these mics are actually really nice. And that's something that a lot of reviewers aren't really detailing. They're just like, oh, it's not as good as the iPhone. But the iPhone tends to pick up every single noise when it comes to its mics. Whereas the V60 may have like some aggressive noise reduction, but at the very least, it does it so that it picks up your voice better. And I feel like the S20 FE is doing a good job at keeping my voice sounding well and nice and clear for you guys, while also, you know, having a good amount of background noise so it doesn't sound artificial. But overall, I feel like in terms of stabilization, it's a toss-up. I think the V60 definitely is better because you get the same amount of stabilization in the auto mode that you do in the manual mode. So that's very nice. You don't really unlock all the features on both unless you go to the pro mode though. Like, you don't really get the opportunity to adjust the bit rate unless you're in the pro mode. You do have like the voice bokeh and all that stuff in the auto mode, so even when like there's windy situations, it will pick up your voice better. But it does have the issue of still clipping the sound a little bit, leaving a little bit of the sound in with your voice while it's doing that. But it's not terrible, but it works for what it's meant to do. Both have really capable auto modes, both have really capable manual video modes. I personally think, coming from the perspective of somebody that uses these phones to, you know, record videos and stuff like that, both are perfectly good options when it comes to this. So oh, and also, like, a little bit extra stuff, the V60 in 8K can record up to 26 frames per second, whereas the S20 FE can only record it at 24. Now you can say, oh, a couple extra frames. Those couple extra frames do indeed matter. Could help with motion blur and stuff like that, so it doesn't look all wobbly. And what I did notice at night on the S20 FE with that initial video was that it did get a little bit wobbly, a little bit jello effect like, but it wasn't to the point where I was like, oh, this is terrible. But yeah, I'm gonna detail this more and say, like, hey, comparison video versus video later on. But yeah, this is part of the thing. Guys for watching. Thanks for support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, whatever time it is in your area.